Thank you, Lord Mayor. And I move the amendment in my name and that of Councillor Jan. But can I just actually first say, nothing to do with this amendment. I listened to Councillor Mackey's speech, but I'm not going to name them, but there have been two councillors who've had a steady conversation going entirely through that speech who I could hear. I think councillors should show respect to other councillors and listen to what they're saying, whether or not you agree with it. You've got a conversation, have it outside the chamber. Our amendment is straightforward and seeks to build on the motion proposed by Councillors Alden and Mackey. As I said earlier today, we are facing two severe challenges in this council. The first is to right our sinking financial ship and get us back to a situation where we can look to the future with confidence rather than fear about what new shock and disaster is going to turn up next. We know that is going to take time. We can't do it in this year's budget. It will take 2 years and will inflict severe pain on our residents, both in terms of a proposed 21% increase in council tax over those 2 years and horrendous cuts to services. The second challenge, and one that this time must not be ignored or ducked, as it has been in the past, is to address the structural failings of our council that helped to enable the current disaster. And the first step in doing this is to come to accurately understand why it happened. What elements were down to personal failings and incompetence? Which elements were down to systemic failures, which if unaddressed are likely to recur and land us in the same mess at some point in the future? Only at that point in the future, we won't have the assets we currently have to sell and bail ourselves out, because that's what's happening now. The only way to have some sort of consensus on what went wrong is to have an independent inquiry. If you leave it to all of us, we'll all come up with slightly different perspectives on it and different views. We need that independent inquiry to set it out. Seeking to do it in this chamber, as I said, is sadly for the birds. And let's be realistic. An independent inquiry is a necessary step, but simply having it doesn't guarantee its success. We must all do everything we can to support it and enable it operates in a timely way with full access to the information it needs. And that's where this motion adds value, why our amendment adds value, this motion adds value to the current situation. Firstly, it focuses our attention on how important the inquiry is, and then secondly, gives it a clear time frame. And I share the frustration of Councillor Alden and Councillor Mackey in the time frame being taken out by the Labour amendment. I think that's a real mistake. Let's be clear. The main purpose of this inquiry is to enable the council and others to put right the causes of what went wrong. To do that, it needs to be quick. Getting a full and precise report in 3 years' time would be next to useless. By then, the decisions need to have been taken about how we move forward and right the failures of the past. And it very clearly needs to be done in good time ahead of the next set of elections. And by good time, I don't mean March or April 2026. I mean before the end of 2025, as the motion says, so that residents and parties can absorb the findings, respond to them, and then develop their campaigns for the 2026 elections, in part on their response to those findings and what they think should happen next. That is why we've made our amendment to make this point clear. December is already very tight. December 2025 is already very tight in enabling this to happen, but if it slips significantly into 2026, time for full consideration of the report and its consequences ahead of the election campaign that year will be lost. And therefore I second this amendment, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. I call on Councillor Jan to second the first.